I saw a video here on YouTube of a lady sharing how she made a mistake rushing to get a mortgage as an immigrant. And I remember I did a video last year on this topic of mortgage. After many months of research and asking questions, I wanted to know whether to take a mortgage or not, or whether to take it now or later. I cannot afford, herd mentality when it comes to a financial decision that I know, can impact me and my family. I knew he has to be well thought out so we don't end up with financial handcuffs. There are three fundamentals I learned, and I sort of summarized it, and I'll be sharing this with you today. Fundamental number one: mortgage is not for everyone. Mortgage is not a race. There is always that unspoken pressure to buy a house fast. We see it as a way to prove that we're settled, we're doing well. I remember I would scroll through social media and see people posting, offer accepted, we just got our keys, homeowner at 32, take a tour with me. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was almost running the same race, like the others. I was like, okay, this is the next thing to do. I started asking questions, especially from my friends, who had taken mortgage at that time. What I didn't ask and couldn't ask was their financial circumstances. For example, do they have any financial obligations in the short term? From the desire to get it right, I realize many people have different financial priorities, and you have to take your own decision based on your own priorities. While a mortgage fits well into some people's financial plan, some other people are doing it wrong. Some buy a house and then they can't sleep because of the debt. They can't travel. They can't invest. They don't have that bandwidth anymore. They can't even make small fixes in the house if need be. They rely more on credit facilities to be able to service, these big financial decisions they've taken. They basically own the home on paper, but are being financially stretched every single month. And this is what I call financial handcuffs. I want you to know that we are all in different seasons. Some people are still, trying to figure out their visas. Some of us are still building up our credit. Some of us have stable income. Some of us don't have stable income, and some of us just need time to adjust. And yet we put this big pressure on ourselves, to buy a house just because others are doing it. And please don't let anyone make you feel less for renting. If that's what suits your finances for now, please stick to it. The funny bit is that some people conclude that when you rent, you're throwing away money or you're helping a landlord pay his mortgage. Please, before you buy that narrative, be sure to understand it. Because guess what? You could also be throwing away some flexibility, some freedom, and some even, better financial opportunities by buying too soon. So renting isn't always about wasting. Sometimes it is buying time. It is buying options. It is buying peace of mind. So to set things straight, buying a home is not the problem. Rushing into it without a strategy is. Before buying a house, ask yourself, do I have emergency savings somewhere? Can I still invest after the mortgage is paid each month? Am I buying for stability or because everyone says I need to buy? Am I buying because it makes financial sense or emotional sense? I just want to have a house. Do I fully understand the mortgage structures, taxes, long-term costs, in this country I have called home? Am I stable enough to make this decision without pressure? These are the questions we should be asking ourselves. So let's assume all this checks yes, and you're financially ready, for a mortgage. The second fundamental of mortgage is the real advantage of it. Let me tell you what the biggest one is, in my opinion. This is something people don't understand fully. They just assume that if I buy now, in X number of years, it would have doubled or tripled, and all those things we tell ourselves, all those hand in the sky calculations, we do. I think the biggest advantage is what I call forced savings. Every month when you pay your mortgage, a portion of that money is going towards reducing your loan. You're paying down the principal. I'm not talking about the interest now. You're paying back the principal. And this basically means you're buying more of your house in bits. Before that, even though the paper says you own the house, the bank owns the house. But as you make each payment every month, you're buying more into the house, which is you're buying more into your ownership of the house. You may not feel this at first, trust me, because so much of the payment goes to interest, especially in the early years of the mortgage. But over time, your equity grows, and that equity is money saved, without needing discipline. It's not just sitting in your accounts, where it can be spent. It is locked into the property, growing in the background as you make more monthly payments. This is very good for people with poor savings culture. So every month, you're increasing the deposit. Remember the deposit you paid. You're increasing that deposit. And basically, you're increasing your share or your value or your home ownership. Let's just keep it simple. Let me give you an example. Say you buy a house for 220,000. You put down £20,000 as deposit, and you take out a mortgage for the remaining 200,000. Over time, you pay, let's say, cumulatively 50,000 of that mortgage. That means you now owe only 150,000 to the bank. And now let's say the value of the house has increased to say 250,000. When you sell it, you pay the bank their 150K, and the remaining 100K is yours. Let me break down that 100K to you. The first 20,000 is the original deposit you made for the house. The 50,000 is the first savings you've been making every month. And then 30K is the increase in your home's value, So in a way, you're building wealth, so long as the value of the house doesn't fall below the amount you paid for it. Now let's get to the third fundamentals. This is the hidden cost of home ownership. Owning a home comes with responsibilities, and they are not cheap. And I'm not talking about, the associated cost of the mortgage in the first place, or even the interest payments. You cannot accurately predict how low or high it will get in years to come. Let's pack those two aside. I am talking about the boiler breaks. That's your bill. The roof tiles fly off during a storm. That's your bill. The gutters blocked. Plumbing issues. Structural fixes. All yours. All on you. These costs are unpredictable. They don't tell you when they're coming, and they add up really fast. And meanwhile, salaries are not rising fast enough to match the cost of living. When you have already stretched yourself thin to get on the property ladder, and you don't have much bandwidth to play with, and then these costs then come in, then you find yourself in a financial trap. When I was talking about fundamental 2, I mentioned the benefits if the value, the 30K, if the value of the house increases. Now you should also know there is the possibility of the house prices falling. This means you could be stuck in a negative equity where you owe more than the house is worth. So basically, owning a home is a goal for many immigrants like me, and it can be a really smart move. And that's why I gave you a balanced view. But it should not come at all cost. Don't rush it. Don't buy because everyone around you is buying. Do it because it aligns with your numbers. It aligns with your financial objectives, your life goals, your peace of mind, not pressure. If you would like to know how to run the numbers for this very important decision, you should watch this video on what new immigrants need to know before taking that mortgage decision. And I'll see you there.